Story number one. Why are economists holding their breath? Now, we would think that with all of the job numbers and some GM talks, General Motors, that economists would be optimistic about the future. But many are still predicting a recession. Now, no matter which side of the aisle you hear the points, the talking points, you will get a little confused if you've never been in this field before. But the fact is that economics, even macroeconomics, it all depends on the attitudes of the investors. And some investors have confidence in the leadership, some investors don't. Now, when the president decides to go in a trade war, which means that he's trying to battle this money problem with trade wars, meaning going after people who already have made it known that they don't even have the money. So if they do have the money, they're spending it someplace else, probably on their own people. Like I said, I give this administration credit. U.S. job numbers growth in November. As you can see, the tax cuts I looked at numerous reports talking about what the tax cuts have actually done to the economy. Now, what we're seeing is no different from a stimulus. You may see maybe 4 years of growth, but in the long run, this has investors very, very afraid because it took from the government's pay books. So that means that the government basically took out of their own pocket and gave businesses, wealthy investors and business owners, a tax cut, and basically said you can hire people, get the numbers looking great. The fact is that without a good, hard working force and cheap labor, there is the thing is that even with this tax cut, somebody is going to have to be accountable for the money spent. And there, even with the floods that the farmers have had to go through, some people are saying that the economy is doing well with the tax cuts, but the long-term investors are predicting, and they're just waiting for a recession to happen. Every economist will tell you that nobody really knows what the markets are going to do, but this has investors holding their breath. There's some stories that made it in. Despite job boom, more men are giving up on work. That means that men are deciding to stay out of the labor force. They may feel they may get their hands dirty. Some of the stuff we're seeing is very different from the old school way of thinking. Old school, there was cheap labor. You had if you even take it to the 1800s, there was slavery. I cannot sugarcoat things for you in the Mediator. I have to get you to understand the reality of the situation. This is not a movie where the ending can be altered. These are real deal situations, real deal stories that happen in real time. If I were not telling you what is actually happening within this economy, you would not understand how things work. I'm not going to give you a peppermint with your book. I want you to read the book and tell me what you see so you can make me stronger and we can work this thing out. GM LG Chem partner to build 2.3 billion battery plant near closed factory in Lordstown. Now, as you can see, GM is trying to move in on this market of electric vehicles because they think and they believe that this is the future. So they're looking for the long-term investment, and they want to get the government on the same page. And the government has made these rules because scientists are all of a sudden getting on this spiel saying that the earth is warming, we have to do something, all this is man-made, we have to start finding a way for cleaner energy, CO2. We see it with Greta Thunberg. They're even throwing children in the mix. Children who have some of them don't even know how to balance a checkbook. You can see how aggressive this is getting. The truth is catching up to us, and all of the woes of our problems are starting to eat at us. All of the negligence and all of the past past of taking the work day off is starting to catch up to us because we're starting to see the value of work and the value of everybody's contribution to economics. I cannot say I'm going to give one big man in the White House all the credit. No, these are workers, these are unions, these are people on the workroom floor getting together, they're voicing their opinions, and they're telling the fat man on the couch, hey, you may want to get back to work and start exercising. A depressing chart shows a jaw-dropping wealth gap between millennials and baby boomers. Folks, even millennials are getting into the discussion. They're looking at baby boomers and they're saying, hey, look at what you've left us. We have college debt. We're trying to do the right thing. And you've been giving all of the money to less informed people, people who have a criminal mindset. You can see that there's some friction in the Civil War battles that we're seeing with our verbiage, our mouth. There's no guns in this new war. There's all talk and there's all action. People want to see action from their leaders. They're seeing that their local governments are failing them, so some of them are starting to take action into their own hands. This is a recipe for sometimes professionalism and unprofessionalism battling out the educated and the uneducated. All this is going to do is make things better for the economies because it's going to enlighten people on their own strengths, on what they can do if they do 10 push-ups. This is what we want to see happening in the American dream. Stocks slide as Trump says China trade deal might wait until after 2020 election. Silicon Valley owes U.S. $100 billion in taxes. Grad students at Harvard formed a picket line over wages, health care, protections. Now people are starting to understand the value of these benefits at having a good job. But the employer is still trying to educate them in saying that this is what we're paying if you come work for us. People are starting to understand the value of working and understanding the benefits that it's better to just not sugarcoat it anymore. Tell the worker, tell the patient what they're paying for instead of the hidden fees. I had to go take out some money. The loan officer told me these are the interest rates because you've been bamboozled so much and your credit is terrible. This is what you're going to have to pay for taking out a loan. And they sent me on to my Christmas break with a nice little peppermint patty. This is the real deal stuff that's happening. The theaters are telling their actors, if you don't show up on time, if you don't get in the game, your role is going to be cut. We don't care if you're Judy Garland. This is a real deal situation. People are coming out. They're talking about their bad habits. They're talking about how they've been bamboozled by drug dealers and reverends and priests all over the place. This is what we want to see. The atmosphere is changing with the truth of what's been happening in this economy, and it's going to make us a better country. I guarantee it. Anybody who has been deceived in this economy and does not read the policies are starting to understand. All of my bills, all of the people who I owe money to, just give me a break. I'm working on myself as well. That's what's in story number one, and you can see why it made it to the top 8 because it's rejuvenating the spirit of everybody who's been a victim of this lovely American dream that we see. American parents want paid family. I talked about this, and I forgot to mention this. They also want child care, according to a report. And this story number one has, you can see the excitement it's giving me because it has all of the substance on why economists are doing what they're doing. They're showing you the way. They're showing you why. If you say that you're getting something for free, there'll be a billboard ad that'll be triggered by your cell phone to make you want to buy. Around the holidays, why you must buy, put these businesses back into the black. This is what's happening in real time. We're seeing it, I think it was the movies, The Santa Claus, when Jack Frost turned Christmas into a heavenly ball field of material things and possessions to give to the good and bad children. This is what we're seeing happening in the economy, and that's why story number one made it into the top 8. I'm having so much joy in telling you what's happening in reality, in real time, in the media. You're in the media with me, Brown Westward. I'm not here to hurt you. I get as much excitement as you do hearing about it and being informed, but that's always the goal. Stay informed. I try to be a good person. I really am a good person. I really care about the state of this economy. I care about the American people, but I can't lie to you. This is what's happening. Economists are finding out that economics really goes on what's in the mind, and how do you stimulate the economy. How the person who understands their own power as a citizen is understanding that even with legislation comes consequences, and that's what we're seeing happening in story number one. Everything is coming alive. If you want to be a contributor of this show, help out anyway. It doesn't take much. I don't ask for much. All you have to do is go to the website, buy something, click on something, watch something, read something, or to sponsor a program. I'm an investor just like you. I put my money back into the people who are investing in my life and investing in my time. Like I said, CDs are good. You go to your financial advisor, they'll try to tell you which route to take. They're uncertain about the economic future as well, but they want to guide you in the right direction. They mean well. If you want to be a contributor of this program, like I said, it doesn't take much. I constantly have to remind you that I just stay in the middle, navigating from the right to the left, finding out which stories are most beneficial to you. So it doesn't take much. If you want to be a contributor, all you have to do is visit www.method8inc.com, method80.com, where you can buy something, click on something, watch something, read something, or just sponsor a program. Every little bit counts. Once again, I'm just a mediator, staying in the middle, navigating from the right to the left, find out which stories are most beneficial for you. I do my best. I do my best. I'm not here to hurt you, just here to keep you informed. That's always been the goal. Every story, I do my research. All the sources are on the website. So if you want to check out the website, check the stories that did make it in or almost made it in. METHOD, the number 8, INC.com, method80.com, where you can buy something, click on something, watch something, read something, or to sponsor a program. Every little bit counts. Story number 2. Trump's base won't go down without a fight. For anybody who's been keeping an eye on this administration, who's maybe new or brand new to politics, may just want to find a candidate. Trump's base is not going to go down without a fight. If you are just getting in the game and you are an Obama supporter, this is personal and what's happening in Washington, and I feel saddened because everybody has been contributing to the tax system. This is what we're seeing in Washington, is a man who has pretty much voiced his opinion of his base. This is what people have been thinking for years, and they found a candidate, or not a candidate, but a elected president who does not mind saying what his base has been thinking, and they have constantly been thinking about what they've been seeing, and they've been constantly been thinking about the land that they obtained from wars with the Indians. Now, this is when I say this, I mean his base. This is what people who are supporting him have been thinking. They have been paying into the system. Most of their family members have been at war. But then there's another side to Trump's base. There's a side that wants to see growth, wants to see things have a happy ending. But it's sad because what we're seeing is people who are caught in a cult-like atmosphere. This is what the problem is with story number 2, and this is why it will create conversation. Because we're seeing things happening in government that we've never seen before. Some people are tired of it. They are fed up. But Trump's base will not stop, because they too have been watching the good old birds in the sky flying by, keeping their eye on the American dream. They too have been trying to achieve the American dream. Now, this is not all, but I say some, because this is what's happening in story number 2. It is my duty to keep you informed on what is happening ground level, top level, and mid level. And there is a side of America that wants to see people who have been living greatly off of the government, and they have had to pay taxes and suffer by the victims of stealing, or people who are against the American dream, or who are hypocrites of the Constitution, people who have been on the battlefield, maybe for the mighty dollar, but forgetting these are all the fascists that we're seeing bottled up into one presidential candidate. This is not equal opportunity anymore with this administration. This is a war that has been waiting for a long time. They have watched police brutality. These are all victims in this. So you can look at every Trump voter and you see the frustration and why they have faith in this president and why they will not go down without a fight. Because they've been waiting to stir up something in Washington. They have been waiting to pinpoint all of the troubles from past administrations. This base will kill this own president's dream to get their point across, because these are the people who have been swinging the misery stick for a long time, and they have watched people constantly living off the government, making excuses. These are the people who understand how things work. I'm not saying all of them are, but this is what's happening in this political battle that we see, and why this president has been able to get away with so much. You could call it white privilege, you could call it whatever you want, but there's something happening within this administration, and it's stirring up the pot. I had to dig deep and find out what was going on in the story. I have to listen to conservative media. I have to listen to each side, watching the pendulum. If you don't understand what I'm talking about, and this program may be a little bit too much for you, I cannot sugarcoat what is happening in the American dream, because everybody wants a piece of that. They want a piece of that security. But they're saying that it's provided through this administration. This is what's happening in this story. And that's why it's become such a big story. And that's why it crept into the top 8. Because no matter what you do, if the Democrats are crying impeachment, they will look at the past administrations. They will look at the local governments. They will look at the inner cities, the black communities, the Latino communities, and they will see how these people have been getting deprived of education. They will look at their test scores, look at their students, and look at their property values, their homes, where their jobs are, if these communities are deserted, where the public dollars have been going. This is all bottled up in government spending, and this is what's in story number 2, and that's why it will stay alive, because people want answers, and they want to know where their hard-earned taxpayer dollars have been going. They don't really care about the game of politics anymore. This is personal what's happening in Washington. I don't think it has anything to do with business, because everybody wants to know where their tax dollars have been headed, and they found somebody who does not care what they say. They don't care what they say on the global stage. They're getting a kick out of watching this man play the game and have all of the pieces that he needs to do what he needs to do, even for his own interests. Like I said, this man has sat at the table with Russians and made business dealings. You can look at the fine detail. They are giving you the fabric of what is happening in this administration. That's how you develop a grassroots movement. And then when all the guns come out and all the bodies are left all over the place, the last people standing will be the people who understood what was the right way. And they're trying to say that they're seeing it in this. It doesn't have something to do with race. Does it have something to do with the Obama administration? Did the Obama administration do the same thing that this administration is? It's all in story number 2, and that's why it crept into the top 8. There are some stories that crept in that will get you to understand why this base will not let up on the throttle. Trump declines to take part in baseless House impeachment inquiry. Trump thinks that this impeachment problem is BS. He doesn't believe in it. He doesn't see any wrong that he's done. But his base, the cult that they call it, are all over this. They're enjoying seeing somebody get rewarded with all of the benefits and all the glories, while the people on the bottom who have been suffering forever still have to eat crumbs off the dinner table. This is what's happening in story number 2. It's raveling up the bases. 350 health professionals signed letter to Congress claiming Trump's mental health is deteriorating dangerously amid impeachment proceedings. The 350 health professionals, folks, this is all a game of battling it out with what has been happening. The truth is coming out all over the place. Corruption. Who will be the last person standing in this next election? This will be interesting. Will the voters go running back to the Democrats? Or will they stay with the Elephant Party and stay grounded in the reality of what's been happening? People have watched for years, people living off the government. Even Reagan, even after he got shot, he talked about less government, more money into the people's pocket. This is all of what's happening in Washington. And some people who have known this for a long time are getting a kick out of watching this political show. Article states that it doesn't look like anyone can find evidence that the Trump campaign was set up in Russian probe. Folks, there's nothing you can say about Trump and Russia. There's nothing you can say about Biden and Ukraine. The pieces are written in fine detail. The answers are there. There's always speculation in a rumor. There's always truth in a rumor. There's always something that comes out once the rumor finds out evident to be truth. And all of the little minions that follow around not understanding what's happening will find out in the end that maybe there's some guilt in myself. Maybe there's something I've cheated myself out, deprived myself that somebody else took the opportunity to take. And that's what's happening in story number 2. This is why each base is putting up a fight. There's a lot at stake, folks. If you're sitting at home and you're broke and all you have to live off of is a government paycheck, you will want to know more about who is going to keep supplying you so you can keep feeding yourself. This is what's happening in story number 2. All of the bullets, all of the sacrifices, dead bodies all across the world. This is truth in one episode, folks. And that's what's happening in story number 2. The truth is coming out. There was a talk about Alex Jones, a conspiracy guru. They were talking about even his leadership after he started understanding what was happening within the realms of government. Folks, he probably started drinking and heavily alcoholic. If you can't stomach it, then you may want to get out of the kitchen. But this is what's been happening on taxpayer dollars, folks. That's why story number 2 is here. One report asks, will President Trump's new transparency plan bring healthcare costs down? Somebody has to pay for smoking their entire life, for secondhand smoke around their kids. Somebody has to pay for the child that was born out of wedlock. This is reality, folks, and this is what's happening. Somebody has to pay when the reverend has been taking from the congregation and feeding his family, benefiting on his own self while all of his members have been suffering. Folks, this is what's happening in the realms of story number 2, and it's revving up everybody's base because they're finding out that deep inside themselves, they may have to take things into their own hands. John Kerry endorses Biden for president, says Trump has broken apart the country. House committee chair calls for investigation into 400 million border wall contracts. Many do not think that Trump has fulfilled his pledge to turbocharge job growth and revive manufacturing. 700,000 people could lose food stamps under Trump's administration's new SNAP rules. Under Trump, NATO nations get more U.S. troops and military spending. Folks, what you're seeing in story number 2 is the magic of the holiday season, when you have to sit around and finally come to terms that there's no money left. Maybe you have a few dollars on the credit card. We're just going to have to pray this year. This is what's happening in story number 2. Forgive me for giving you the true magic of the holiday season. This is what it's all about. Spending time with your loved ones and finally realizing that the fashions of life have been tainted. The reality is that sometimes these people have problems that they cannot tell you about because the truth is very, very, very painful, folks. And that's what's happening in story number 2. This base in Trump has found truth in this candidate. They found something to live off of. And that's what's happening in the cult that you see. And this is what they've been waiting for. They want a fight. They want a debate. These are hungry Republicans, hungry conservatives. Some of them are even in the Democratic aisle. They have been waiting for years. They've watched as aborted babies have been aborted. They've watched as parents bring their children to the clinics, not understanding the truth. This is an all-out fight for the battle that has been going on for a long time, and that's why Trump's base will not go down without a fight. And we will see it in 2020 as they are going to bring out all stocks, and they are gathering information as we speak. They know where we're spending. They have things on camera. Folks, this is a reality, and there is no conspiracy around it. This is the truth. We all are victims in this. We all are part of this, folks. Mediation can be tough, but somebody is going to get something out of this deal as the pendulum swings from the right to left. You're either going to get informed, you're going to learn something, or you're going to run. That's all it is to it. Some people just have to stay in the battle, folks. And like I said, story number 2 is exhausting because we're seeing a wealthy man take on the realms of Washington, possess all the power he has, learning about the taxpayer dollar, own casinos, bought people off their lands, signed contracts with foreign countries. We've watched this, folks. Even Saudi Arabia in the mix. Folks, story number 2 is going to start a discussion. And it's going to create some doubters and some believers. That's why it crept to the top 8. Whew! You're in the Mediator, where it can get exhausting. But somebody's got to do it. If you want to be a contributor, it doesn't take much. I'm not here to hurt you. I'm here to keep you informed. I'm here to give you what you need, your daily dose of vitamin news. If you want to help out, it doesn't take much. METHOD, the number 8, INC.com, Method8.com, where you can buy something, click on something, watch something, read something, or to sponsor the program. Every little bit counts. I'm here to help you. I'm here to keep you informed so you can understand what's happening around you. We've all been in this battle for a long time. I just stay in the middle and I navigate the news for you. I'm here to help you. I'm doing the best I can to keep you informed. I have my own woes, my own problems. I have a problem trying to figure out who to vote for as well, but I try to figure out which candidate is better for the country. And right now, as Americans, we the people, and as people of citizens of this world that we live in, we the people have to come to terms with that there's something been happening around us, and this is what's happening. This is the reality. So if you want to help out, be a contributor, it doesn't take much. I research, do my duties to come in every week to give you the headlines, developing news stories. If you want to be a contributor, it doesn't take much. METHOD, it's above my head, number 8, INC.com, Method8E.com, where you can buy something, click on something, watch something, read something, or to sponsor a program. Every little bit counts. If you want to help out, do anything, I try to do my best with the money that is spent here. I try to invest it back into people's lives, invest it back into the community. I try to do the best I can. So if you want to be a contributor, check out something on the website. Check out the stories that almost made it, did make it in. METHOD, the number 8, INC.com, Method8.com, where you can buy something, click on something, watch something, read something, or to sponsor a program. Story number 3. Why are so many people choosing mass shootings? You know, it's very scary when we've come from Andy Griffin to the fact that now people are taking guns and matters into their own hands. Highly qualified, highly security clearance people from other countries coming into the belly pit of America and shooting up people on their own bases. Navy sailors shooting people on the anniversary of Pearl Harbor. Folks, there's something happening in this chemistry set. And as you can see, it's very, very mixed up. People have some gripes and some concerns about America, and they're taking matters into their own hands by killing innocent people. This is the ultimate protest, and that's why story number 3 crept into the top 8. This hurts my heart. It makes me very, very sad when I see things like this happen. But it's very, very, very touching to see how people are starting to realize that life is precious. And But seeing this stuff happening is very, very scary, and it's bringing people down to earth and to a reality that there's something that people have, there's problems that people have that they do not tell people about, and that they may be afraid to come to the masses and talk about. Florida shootout after jewelry heist, and then a UPS truck driver chase. leaves 4 people dead. Sailor kills 2, wounds 1 before taking his own life at Hawaii's Pearl Harbor base. Being a former Navy sailor myself, seeing this happen around the anniversary of 9/11 has not only hurt me because I lost a job under a mental condition, and I was actually for the cause. I've always defended the Constitution, and I had to retire early because of this. People who take advantage of the fact that they're given a chance, we volunteer. It's very tough to see stories like this because I had to go through some actions of my own, believing that I even had to. But seeing these stories, as you can see, it touched me dearly because they're putting trust into foreign people. There was a story about they were talking about a Saudi national opens fire at a U.S. naval base. He was in training, and investigators are looking into why he decided to do this. This is very scary. There are tons of sailors who all of a sudden, tons of Army vets who all of a sudden say they're hearing from God. God is giving them messages, and we're given the tail end of the stick and told to go home, and we're heavily medicated. There is something in story number 3 that's very, very sad. And it's it shows you that mental health is very, very much a real deal problem. I myself, if you don't understand these matters, maybe you can go and watch a nice little episode of Columbo or something. But folks, the reality of the situation is what's happening in these camps. People are trained to serve and protect. They have a job to do, and then all of a sudden they decide something happens in their mental state. They're tired of work. They're tired of going over and helping out people who don't care, who are just using them. And this is what's happening. Frustration. People starting to all of a sudden kill innocent people. Story number 3 is a wake-up call to everybody who is doing something for the greater good of the public. People who are suing people who are taking advantage or eating. There is truth in story number 3 because they hold all of this animosity in. They don't go to a psychologist. They don't call the 1-800 VA numbers, and they do this to ruin other people's lives. Now that these people have done this, they're going to ruin for the next man in line, for people like me who actually care about the protection and the upholding of the Constitution. This is what's happening. People are all of a sudden wanting to go dangle and around communists and live on a socialist doll when they don't understand the freedoms that you have to protect, the freedoms that people could live off of, that you can open up a business, get educated voluntarily. This is what's happening in story number 3. There's only one conspiracy around this story, and that's the fact that some people just don't have enough. They don't feel like they have enough. They have problems. They don't talk about it. They don't have people who they can vent to. They've snapped. They've just took matters into their own hands and decided to take it out on innocent people. Story number 3 has all the inkling of reality. If I'm too hard in this program today, I apologize. But I have to get you to understand that there's some real deal things happening. And there's some people who feel cheated when they go and they swear on earth to serve and protect. And they have nowhere to go. And they feel like they have nowhere to go. Sometimes they come to the dock and there's nobody on the base to wish them a happy ending. Or a happy beginning. This is what's happening in story number 3. Or you could have a country with less, and they could be over here just acting like they really care about the American dream when all reality is they hate this country. They hate this place, and they know it has a crooked foundation, and they're waiting for their opportunity to strike. This is the truth of the matter, and this is where you're going to hear it in the Mediator. I have to do this because this is what's happening in story number 3. It's frustrating, it hurts, but in the end, it will make you understand that's why story number 3 is the way it is. People are losing their mind, and they're trying to scream for help, and this is the only way to do it. Wisconsin High School resource officer shoots armed student who wouldn't hand over a gun. Why are people doing this? A New York village averted a potential school shooting, and parents are still upset, according to a report. This is very, very scary stuff. If you're a Bible scholar, you know that in I think it's Jeremiah and the books of the prophets, they talk about stuff like this, and it's very scary. But we all we could do when we see stories like this is ask for God's favor and repent for our own unappreciations for wanting to live this life. Story number three is that's why it made it to the top eight. It has the ability to show us that maybe we should start finding a way to find our Christmas hats and put them on around the holidays, or find some truth in why they call it the most wonderful time of the year, where people should be around Christmas caroling and finding a way to thank somebody who has given us the ability to live this life. There's truth in mediation, and there's something in the end for everybody, and that's why story number three crept its way in. I got something out of it. It made me see the reality of what's happening in this country, and I feel bad for the lives that have been lost, but they're going to a greater place, and they will get redemption, because innocent blood that is slain always gets redemption in the end. But that's why story number three crept its way in. It's sad the mental state that we're seeing our fellow comrades, our fellow loved ones in. But there's a reality that goes in around the globe, and all the truths that are written down in the books of the prophets will tell you that sometimes at the end of the day, it's better to just get on your knees and thank the Lord for the sun, the flowers, the family members, and the loved ones that we do have. Story number three took me to that point, took me to my knees. I even shed some tears around Pearl Harbor Day. If you want to be a contributor, it's not my duty every week to give you the top 8 headlines of developing news stories. I'm doing everything I can to keep you informed. Being a victim myself, having mental health issues when I was on the battlefield, seeing that I too had to submit to the psychologist, I too had to submit to the will of the American people, and be thankful for the time that I do have on this planet. It hurts seeing your fellow comrades, your fellow loved ones, the people who you serve with, your brothers, your sisters. It hurts seeing them suffer and trying to call for help. And that's what's happening in story number three. Like I said, it's very touching. If you want to be a contributor, help out anyway, it doesn't take much. METHOD, the number 8, INC.com, method80.com, where you can buy something, click on something, watch something, read something, or to sponsor a program. I'm not here to hurt you, only to keep you informed. I'm doing my duties. I come in here every week, navigating through over 200 or more stories, figuring out what stories are most beneficial to the public, to the masses. If you want to be a contributor, it doesn't take much. I'm here to enlighten you, to give you the reality of the situation. METHOD, the number 8, INC.com, method80.com, where you can buy something, click on something, watch something, read something, or to sponsor a program. Every little bit counts. You can also check out the stories that almost made it, did make it in. METHOD, the number 8, INC.com, method80.com, where you can buy something, click on something, watch something, read something, or to sponsor a program. Story number 4. Should criminals be stereotyped, executed, or tortured? This story crept in because the Supreme Court has temporarily blocked resumption of the federal executions, some federal, I think it's federal executions period. An unfair system they're talking about has arrested millions of blacks and urged compassion for whites, according to a report. Now, this is according to a report. If you want to do more research on this report, it is actually on the website. But criminals, people who have been involved, incarcerated, are starting to fight back. They're saying that they've been discriminated against and that they've been unfairly treated. The justice system is under attack, and this is what's happening in story number 4. That's why it crept into the top 8. People who have somehow been involved in some type of criminal act, they're saying that they've been discriminated against, and they're saying that it has something to do with all of what's happening in the justice system. Some people are saying that they don't deserve the death penalty, and some people are saying that this is why some people don't believe in the death penalty. But there's things that goes on in prisons that's wrapped into story number 4. I just recommend you to go and read these stories. I can't get into too many details because it can really bring hatred in your heart of what happens in these stories, what happens on these prison floors, what happens when a child is watching their mother get beat. I've read a book about this. I did my research on this story. There are people who feel like in the South, there was even a story about how some laws in Virginia are still centered around slavery laws. Folks, story number 4 will get you to understand the reality of the situation on what happens in the criminal justice system. Some kids have to shoot their parents because their father may be beating their mother, molesting some children or in the family. Some people take matters into their own hands. They don't know. Some people have just lost faith in the justice system, period. Some people don't understand why slaves were considered 3/4 of a human being. Story number 4 is a scary story. It crept into the top 8. I've seen stories like this constantly making the headlines. It's a very, very sad situation. That's why I say this holiday season, if you can do anything, you should be thankful for the time that you have with your loved ones, because some people have did hard time for terrible situations. Babies being ripped out of the womb. This story number 4 is very, very scary, and it shows you that criminals in the justice system is a very, very scary game. It's a very, very scary system. My heart goes out to the police officers who put their heart into it, to the firefighters, to the public servants who do actually care about the reality of the situation. Anybody who goes into the criminal field wanting to make a change, story number 4 will motivate you. And I just encourage you to go on the website, find the stories that made it about this. Find the stories that, the reason why this story made it to the top 8. They're saying, and this is why we see what we see happening with, they're talking about police brutality, the stance against the battle between the police and the public. This is what's happening in this story. I just pray that at the end of the day, we all come to terms with some type of divine intervention and just say, you know what, that's it. We cannot undo the past. We can only make the future better. Story number 4 is a scary story, but some criminals say that they've been stereotyped. Some of them say they've been executed, tortured for no apparent reason. And some of them say that they've taken justice. Some of them have even named their children after named them Justice, because that's all they've ever wanted. That's all they've ever longed for. And that's all they've ever desired was freedom. And this is what's happening in story number 4. Take your time with this story, because I give you a warning that you may shed some tears. Story number 4, crept its way into its top 8. There's something happening all around us, something happening within every story, and that's what I'm here to do. You're the Mediator, me, Brian West, where it's my duty every week not to hurt you, but to give you the top 8 headlines and developing news stories. I'm here to give you everything that you may be searching for. I try my best to go through story after story, 200 more stories every week for you, to keep you informed, so you won't lose touch on your opportunity in front of you, so you won't think that what you're doing is in vain, so you will appreciate every moment you have in this life to do the right thing and to stay informed. Not here to hurt you. I'm just here to give you your divine taste, your vitamin news. If you want to be a contributor, METHOD, the number 8, INC.com, method8.com, where you can buy something, click on something, watch something, read something, or just sponsor program. I have to remind you that I'm just in the middle. The news, the journalists, the people on the front lines, they deserve most of the credit. I just navigate the news, finding out which stories are most beneficial to you, and that's what I'm here for. Headed to story number 5. If you want to be a contributor, METHOD, the number 8, INC.com, method8.com, where you can buy something, click on something, watch something, read something, or just sponsor program. Everybody counts. Story number 5. Who are the good guys? NYPD officer injured from a razor blade found inside his sandwich. Iran developing nuclear-capable missiles. European powers warn UN. 2 Russian hackers charged in theft of $70 million. They are described as the most prolific cyber criminals in a decade. Obama's pay $11.75 million for Martha's Vineyard home on nearly 30 acres. Politician has reached the promised land from a book deal. Russia turns on the gas on mega pipeline to China. Congressman admits to misusing campaign funds. Native American wins the Nobel Peace Prize in Literature. North Korea warns U.S. that they may get a nasty Christmas gift if Nuke Deal does not reach them by December 31 deadline. Elizabeth Warren says she'll wear a Planned Parenthood scarf to her inauguration. Babies being aborted, planning for a future to unprivileged mothers. Margaret Sanger trying to get rid of a lesser valued human race. Eugenics comes from Egypt. It's probably been used throughout civilizations for lifetimes to keep bloodlines pure. It got into the wrong hands, caused the death of more than over 5 million, probably babies and counting. These are truths. Putin signs bill mandating Russian apps on electric devices. U.S. Marine who enlisted after surviving Haiti earthquake charged with smuggling guns. India gets first woman Navy pilot. Pedophile priests operated at a California school for decades. China bans U.S. military visit to Hong Kong in response to Washington support for supporters. Lord, please forgive me for anything I've done wrong in my lifetime. I've had the ability and the desire to love women. I've had the ability and desire to be something better than I could be every day of my life. I am not perfect. But the question is in story number 5, and who are the good guys? Pediatricians finally finding out that chemical plastics are harming children, so they are starting to use steel plates. Chicago Police Superintendent Eddie Johnson fired by Mayor Lori Lightfoot. Folks, these stories this week will probably get us to realize once again that there may be something that we may want to look for in the holidays, which is peace around the dinner table. I'm not here to hurt you, only to keep you informed. There's something you can learn in story number 5. There's never enough work, never enough good guys, and you can never, ever give enough of what you say is your time to the masses, because obviously we're finding out that there are some truths in democracy, there are some truths in the world. Once again, Lord, please forgive me for being curious about looking at lovely women walking around and smiling and having little sugar plumps dancing in my head. I'm a savage little man. I'm a pervert at times. Forgive me, Lord. But there's some truth in story number 5. Deep down in my heart, I love people. I love them. Forgive me for any desires that I've wanted that I knew I couldn't get, for any enviousness that I've shown in my life. Story number 5 has taught me a lesson. If I want money, please show me the right place to invest it, Father God, or the person who's watching over us. You're the Mediator of me, Brian Westward. It's my duty every week to give you the top 8 headlines developing news stories. Who are the good guys? Story number 5. We're headed to story number 6. If you want to be a contributor, METHOD, the number 8, INC.com, Method8.com, where you can buy something, click on something, watch something, read something, or to sponsor a program. Every little bit counts. I thank you so much for giving me your time this week. I thank you for if you've made it this far in the discussion. Remember to stay informed. Try to find out what stories are beneficial to you. Take every moment. Heed the warning signs. There's something in story number 5 that we can learn. If you want to be a contributor to this program, I have to remind you, I'm just a mediator staying in the middle, navigating from the right to the left. The news, the journalists, the people on the front lines, they deserve most of the credit. If you want to be a contributor, METHOD, the number 8, INC.com, Method8.com, where you can buy something, click on something, watch something, read something, or to sponsor a program. You can also check out the stories that almost made it in and did make it in. Every little bit counts. Story number 6. Does more attention need to be shined on abuse? Do we need to be having more attention on abuse? Wife of ex-CEO, Amazon, Mexico, beaten by her husband before being murdered. India woman set on fire on her way to a rape case hearing. McDonald's customer arrested for punching workers for getting his order wrong. Uber received nearly 6,000 U.S. sexual assault claims in the past 2 years. Story number 6 will steer us in the direction of showing us that there may need to be more emphasis on the reality that there is abuse happening all around us. And the reason why people are getting abused is because there's miscommunication. Some women fail to listen to their husbands. These are in laws that were written before mankind. Some husbands fail to listen to their wives. And it's just a dysfunctional life. Nothing can be perfect. But there is a reality in that when two people miscommunicate, it may be better just to walk away before things get out of hand. And that's what story number 6 is teaching us. If you don't have the money for Christmas and you can't afford it, it may just be better to give your child a hug and tell them the truth. Story number 6, around the holiday season, could turn you into a savage beast. Story number 6, this is why abuse cases happen. Once again, peace around the dinner table. Peace is the way. God bless the peacemakers. You're the Mediator of me, Brian Westwood. It's my duty every week to give you the top 8 headlines developing news stories. I'm not here to hurt you, just here to do my duties. Top 8 headlines and developing news stories. That's all I can do. It's what I was made to do. I get hurt. I feel pain. I suffer. But I still feel like a superhero at the end of the day. God bless America. If you want to be a contributor or anybody, bless America, bless the world if you want to. If you want to be a contributor, METHOD, the number 8, INC.com, method8.com. There's a smile on my face. Be good. Be happy. If you want to be a contributor, METHOD, the number 8, INC.com, method8.com, where you can buy something, click on something, watch something, read something, or to sponsor a program. I'm doing my duties, fighting hard. METHOD, the number 8, INC.com. If you want to buy something, click on something, watch something, read something. Every little bit counts. Every little bit helps me do my duties. Keep you informed, giving back for the greater good of the public. It doesn't take much. Like I said, I just stay in the middle, navigating from the right to the left, watching the pendulum float, doing this for you. If you want to check out the stories that almost made it in, did make it in, just remember, I'm just a little guy. Stand in the middle. From right, left. See my shake, my shake. If you want to be a contributor, METHOD, the number 8, INC.com, method80.com, where you can buy something, click on something, watch something, read something, or just sponsor a program. I'm just a little guy doing the right thing. So help me out so I can provide for the masses, the people who show love and want to be loved and want to feel love and want to give love to. You're the Mediator of me, Brian West. Every little bit counts. Story number 7, and the final 2 stories that made it to the Mediator this week. Whoo, if you made it this far, you are on fire to stay informed. Story number 7, should we be concerned about an outbreak? There was a nation's entire government got shut down because measles was running rampant. Measles deaths are staggering and tragic, according to one report. Keep an eye on this story. Flesh-eating bacteria tied to black tar heroin I guess they were using heroin. It killed 7 in San Diego. Marijuana seems to be linked to testicular cancer, according to some reports. The FDA says that CBD could cause liver damage. You may want to keep an eye on this story. People are smoking, getting high, doing all of the juking and dancing and sticking and licking and doing all types of nasty stuff. And in the end, finding out it could be dangerous to their health. Lord, please forgive me for surfing the web, getting to the last page and finding out some women wants to bless the world with her birthday suits. Forgive me, Lord. FDA also says that you may want to read the warning labels on your cigarette package, your alcohol packages, and anything that could be addictive supplements. UK patient diagnosed with monkeypox. The Trump administration pushes efforts to wipe out HIV amid stalled progress. Curing all diseases is now the goal of Facebook CEO Zuckerberg and his wife Priscilla Chang's initiative. This is after they've got the money. Oh, forgive me. Forgive me. I'm just a smart squirrel trying to get what they say, an acorn. Oakland's rising homelessness crisis prompts DIY efforts using large logs. I too use Facebook. I too surf the web. I too have to go to a lender and have to pay the money back. So if you want to help me out, show me some love. METHOD, the number 8INC.com, Methody.com, where you can buy something, click on something, watch something, read something, or to sponsor a program. I'm just here to give you the top 8 headlines and developing news stories. If you've made it this far, you're on the road to staying informed. You could be like me, stomaching 200 stories every week. It's not driving me crazy. It's keeping me informed, baby. It's giving me what I need to give to you, and that's the truth, to make you stronger, make you realize that you yourself have to be informed. If you want to be a contributor, METHOD, the number 8INC.com. We are headed to the top story that made it this week. Like I said, if you want to be a contributor, help out anyway, I just stay in the middle, navigating the news just for you. Not here to hurt you, just keep you informed, make you a better person. Doing my best. I myself have become better by reading this stuff right here, folks. These stories right here have made me a better person too. Whew. Mediation is tough, but somebody has to do it. If you want to be a contributor, METHOD, the number 8INC.com, Methody.com, where you can buy something, click on something, watch something, read something, or just sponsor a program. Or check out the stories that almost made it, did make it in. Every little bit counts. Story number 8, and the final lucky story that made it to the top 8, number 8 ball story. Are we forgetting about the victims? Now, there's some story. There's a list of them that made it in this week that will make you think that in every story, there's a victim. At least 58 people killed as boat carrying migrants sinks off the coast of Mauritania. This was an off-the-coast migrant sunk into a ship. Australia seizes record-breaking 820 million meth haul. If those drugs would have got their destination, there would have been victims. Plastic pollution has killed 500,000 hermit crabs, according to a study. Pollution. Macron, pension reform. France paralyzed by biggest strike in years. Virginia still has dozens of racist and discriminatory laws on its books, according to a report. Birds are shrinking in North America, and climate change may be to blame, according to a report. A polar bear was spray painted in Russia, and dozens of other polar bears overran a Russian village. Are we forgetting about the victims? These are stories. Iranian forces may have killed more than 1,000 in recent protests. Oceans contain 1 million times more microplastic than we realize, according to one study. Student loan borrowers with disabilities aren't getting the help that they were promised, according to a report. Big delays at U.S.-Mexico border crossings after migrants use car lanes to claim asylum. Some victims are calling foul in contact sports. They don't want their kids playing. They're saying that they've lost. There was a report about a family that lost their child. They're blaming sports. He was taking hits from an early age, and they're blaming contact sports. Virginia firefighter killed in Thanksgiving shooting shielded son in a last act of love. George Zimmerman is suing Trayvon Martin's family along with others for $100 million. This was a young child that was killed by a grown man, and he's had to face some hardships, had to face his own reality. This is a tough life we live in, and he's suing the families of a family that has lost a loved one. Should social media companies be legally responsible for misinformation and hate speech? 12 children killed in bloodiest of days in northwest Syria. A Mexican cartel gun battle near the Texas border leaves 21 dead. Millionaire's drug-addicted son has spent and slept on the street for 21 years. Prescription opioids victims want justice, according to Washington Post, but will they get it? Sperm whale found dead on Scottish island and had trash in its stomach. Folks, there are victims in every one of these stories, and sometimes when we are enjoying ourselves, throwing trash on the streets, having a great time. There are people who have to pick up that trash, and there are people who are needing that money to feed the families that you may be wasting on your own self pleasures. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with having fun, but when fun becomes painful, folks, that's when you may need to realize that there are victims around you and there are people watching who are suffering. Story number 8 is a wake-up call in every story, even with the Trayvon Martin, a young child. When you see stories like this, the law is very scary. My heart goes out to the judges and the people who have to make decisions, the families of Trayvon and the families. I don't know what happened in the whole ordeal. Only God knows that. The all-seer, all-knowing God, the balancer of truth and lies. I'm not perfect. I'm on my knees like everybody else. I'm here to tell you that this holiday season, I go through these stories. I go through story after story. And I'm trying my best to be on this battlefield, and I'm trying to stay on it. I'm doing everything I can to tell you the truth, to find out the stories that could benefit you, to show you that the investment into yourself, the time that you spend in this program is worth something. I do not go through these 200 stories lightly. I skim through, and I feel like this may be my purpose. And that's why I do this every week. I don't get paid for this. Every bit that goes into this company goes back to the community, people around me, investing in people's lives, trying to enlighten them, to keep them informed as well. Like I said, if you want to be a contributor, it does not take much. There's victims in this story, and that's why this story is at the top, because in every story with the mass shootings, the criminal gets all of the press, but we sometimes forget about the victims, the people who have the smallest voices, the children, the families who are affected by violence, people who want some answers, want some help. Every ghettos of, even in some of the ghettos of America, some kids are looking for something to hold on to, some type of dream, something to keep them alive, some type of passion. And story number 8 is a wake-up call that I said, in this story number 8 is definitely a wake-up call. And like I said, there is peace around the holidays. If you let it in your heart, you will not be troubled, because peace is the only way to true salvation. There's a lot of love in mediation. I want to thank you so much for tuning in this week to the Mediator with me, Brian West. If you've made it this far, congratulations. You're one step closer to staying informed, to being informed, to making life better for the people around you. I want to thank you so much for tuning in this week. Please don't forget to show us some support. METHOD, the number 8, INC.com. I'm pointing up above, Methody.com, where you can buy something, click on something, watch something, read something, or just sponsor a program. I have done it again. Woo! Every little bit counts. If you want to stand for and help out, I'm just standing in the middle, navigating from the right to the left, telling my psychologist when I'm looking at her voice through the screen that I'm taking it, I'm doing it. I'm doing my dance at the end of the day, and I'm coming here, and I'm telling you that I'm still sane. I still can do this job. I'm taking all of the benefits and the love from the citizens who have invested into me, and I'm taking it, and I'm using it for good. So thank you so much for tuning in this week. I am out of here, folks. Thank you for tuning to the Mediator this week. Don't forget to show us some love. METHOD, the number 8, INC.com, Methody.com, where you can buy something, click on something, watch something, read something, or just sponsor a program, or check out the stories that almost made it and did make it. I am out of here. Have a good week, everybody. Thank you for tuning to the Mediator with me, Brian West.
If you need help, then dial your operator.
Have no fear, fellow citizens. The Mediator is here.